Okay, good evening, everybody. How are we this evening? Hands up if you can hear me. Hands up if you can hear me. Look at that. So good to be around the table. Okay, good clap. Good clap like a seal. Clap. Come all right, what's the loudest you lot can clap? I mean, some of you are students, some of you are human beings, you know. How loud can you make it? Okay, 3, 2, 1, here we go. Welcome to Demo Night. Please sit down. Lovely to have you here. Tonight we've got a very cool card. So there's a fireside chat, which is about to happen in a second. You get to ask Liam lots of questions if you want to. Then there are 4 demos and 1 investor reverse pitch. Who's seen an investor reverse pitch before? Okay. What is it, Nigel? What's an investor reverse pitch?
Where they basically stand up there and go, I want to shower you with cash because you've got a brilliant idea.
Okay, is that how it's going to go? Is that how it's going to go? You're going to shower people with cash today? Maybe. Very good, very good. Who's been to a demo night before? Okay, so for those of you that haven't, what I want you to do is get out your phone. This is the event where you get to do this all night. Okay, it's absolutely fine. We want you to go to menti.com and put in this code that's at the top. And if you register to be here today, you've already got a mail that's got that code in. So you go to menti.com, menti.com, and then type in 38946548. And that will give you access to all these slides. And also you can vote and you can put questions and comments in all the way through. And then the most important, yes, sir? Yeah, absolutely. 389465. And for those of you that can't, they're wearing glasses, 48. Okay? All good? So the most important thing that you're going to do tonight as audience members is provide feedback to the people that stand here in this very vulnerable moment and share what they're working on. And at the end of the evening, you're going to vote for your favourite, what we call the people's choice. And they get some special stuff happening for them. And December is a very special time when all the people's choices are kind of brought together and some kind of events and things happen. Over here are 3 beautiful panelists, and they're going to get a chance to ask the first question. And then tonight, because it's so full, we're going to take 2 other questions from the audience, but put everything in, because all the people that give demos will get a copy of these slides and all your questions at the end of the day, okay? So it's all useful. Okay, because I just like to do this stuff, can you all stand up and stand on one leg, please? Just because I like it. Okay. So we can hang in here, it's quite difficult for me to be on one leg. One leg, please, one leg. Okay, arms out wide. Touch your nose. You look really stupid, you know? Okay, standing on this stage is pretty scary. Now what we'll do is put your hand on the shoulder of the person next to you. And what hopefully you will realise is that the wobble is just a little bit easier. That's right. Okay, thank you very much. Now, if you're going to Menti, the first thing you do is provide any word you like. What are you here for? You're here to meet people, you're here to learn, or you're here to steal all the beer that Ralph has put at the back of the stuff. What do you want? Put it there and it'll come up on the screen, and I'll know that it's like 20, 30, 50 words up there, that you all know how to use Menti. Okay? That's something to get it already.
Very nice. Super exciting. Yes.
All right, pretty good.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Now is the opportunity for the fireside chat. You know that clapping thing you did a minute ago? I want you to give all that energy to Liam and see if you can get him up the steps to the stage, okay? As much energy as you've got.
Hello. So I'm Liam. I'm the founder of Student Venture. Been with community Canada community for I think 6 months ago, I think. So since then, I've just loved what you've been doing. So a bit about me, I'm the founder of Student Venture. So we are building a platform which we're calling the LinkedIn for Students. So we've partnered with a company called UniDays who've got access to millions of students worldwide.
Anybody here a UniDays user? Yeah. Good news for the next day.
Yeah, so we partnered with them and we're doing a lot of stuff. So I'm here today to really talk about an entrepreneurship event that we're doing. It's coming out in March, so the day is in March, and you can apply today. So we're partnering with Canopy, who's doing the accelerator program. And the essence of this is we're targeting every single student in the UK. So graduates, anyone between, I guess, 17 to 26 will be able to apply. We're going to have thousands of people apply, and 100 entrepreneurs are going to be put on a program where they're going to be pitching in London in March in front of hundreds of people and a panel of influential judges. So,
Can you say who any of those might be?
so we've spoken to Steve Bartlett, Simon Squibb should be there. We're just closed the deal with him. So there are a couple of people who will be there on the day.
Okay, so it's thousands to 100 to how many we're going to pitch?
To 10. To 10 people, yeah. So 10 people have the chance to pitch in front of these people. There'll be VCs, money available as well. So that should be a good day.
And what are uni days doing on this?
Why?
What are they doing?
So Uni Days is basically the advertisement partner. So they're targeting all of the students. They want to back it because they want to help students. So the mission behind Student Venture is to allow students to basically shine and do what they, just shine basically. So we're working with them to allow students to do that.
So the way I describe what Ian does is the platform allows people to demonstrate what they can do in their work product rather than just have a CV. So you show through experience what your work product can be, and then people hire on that basis, which is completely colorblind, and it's based on actual ability to do stuff rather than write a good resume. And then this is a natural extension to entrepreneurship, make your own future, and a great opportunity.
Yeah.
So any uni days people or students in this room, what do you want them to do?
So if you want to be a part of it, you can apply on Student Venture. Also, if you're a Uni Days member, you can go on to Uni Days, type in Student Venture, and then you'll be able to access the event. To be fair, it's not actually on Uni Days right now. It'll be on there next week, but it's on Student Venture. So if you want to be a part of it, you can apply now. We're just asking a couple of questions, and then the second stage of the application process will be a pitch deck and a video, and then we'll be choosing from.
It's an artwork, I think.
Yeah, so that's something we're exploring. So potentially, people will upvote your video or deck. So it's basically a community-driven approach. So other students or other people can see your deck, your video, and then they will rank it, and then we'll be able to choose from those who get ranked.
Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to interview all those people on the panel. We're going to load that to the front of the accelerator program. So anybody that makes it through to the top 100, you'll see what each of those panelists are looking for from their bids. And then we'll help you get ready for the final. And the final 10 out of that 100 will get to be in person, pitching for that money and with those people and all the profile gathering that will be done. Okay? So ask him a question. If you're interested in this thing, and ask him anything you want. Is there any student here that thinks they might apply? Any students here? Any students here? Okay. Would you apply? Would you not apply? And if you wouldn't, why?
I was looking.
You were looking
I'll
to.
first see what's it, look at the website, Student Venture, and see if it is compatible with my ideas. I think I should apply. Or if it is if it is fit in my schedule as well.
Okay. So the program that we'll run will be asynchronous, which means that you can fit it around your studies and everything. The one day you'll need to be in person will be for the pitch day in March. How much money do you think they've got to invest?
I don't know. Hopefully a couple 100,000, I hope.
Okay. Would you like a couple 100,000 for your venture?
Who doesn't?
I don't know. Some people don't.
I don't think anyone not like a couple 100,000 there.
It would be good. Any more students from back here? Would you do it? Yeah. You would? Okay. Hands up if you're a student. Okay. Tell me, what do you think?
I mean, I have like an idea that maybe I want to consider, but it's not finished. No, I wouldn't be ready to pitch it in March. Or did I?
I mean, we'd help you be ready to pitch it in March. You just need to be ready to put a bid on a platform.
Yes, so how much information do we need to have ready to launch?
So for the first stage, just the idea. So an idea is good enough. I think what we want to try and do is invest in the founder, not just the idea. So, like we've spoken, the idea might change. As you go on this program, you might find actually it's not as scalable as I thought, or it's not going to raise me any money. So, it's really about investing in the founder and not exactly the idea.
So could you talk a bit more about what you're looking for specific niches?
I'd say someone who's just ambitious. It's a hard journey creating a company. You've got to be very tenacious and really want to get it. I think you've got to really resonate with the problem as well that we're trying to solve. So yeah, that's a general thing that we're looking for. But I think it's different for each person. But yeah, I'd say tenacity is the biggest one because there's going to be a lot of downs in this. Just about continuing the mission.
I won't get a decision on it, but I feel it's somebody who's open to learn. It's going to be a really intense curve. And I'd want those 100 to be the most open to possibly be when they arrive. Because we can do a lot with them. We've taken our ideation program, we've brought on some extra stuff. So we take you from 0 through to the point where you can pitch. We go through a stage of work out what your ideas are and what's important, then how to interview the people that you think will be your target customers, then how to test the idea out that you've got with those target customers based on the needs that they've said, and then preparing to present them to pitch. And then there'll be some extra color up around who are you actually going to pitch to and how do we get you ready for those people specifically. And when we know who the 10 are, we'll do some stuff in person as well to really do the presentation skills and things. So it's really from 0 to, we'll call it almost 1. And if you get that money at the end of it, then you're going to be good to go to the next stage. You get visibility, which would be crazy.
Yeah, I'd like to add as well, like, we're speaking with big companies who are going to be sponsoring, so like Revolut, Mondo's, Uber Eats. Yeah, Uber Eats. So there's going to be a lot of companies there, a lot of money to be potentially made, and it will be a good day. So I hope you will reply. I think it'd be worth it.
Okay, take one more question and then we'll get on with the demos. Yes.
I mean, all these investors, they want to get a good investment deal for themselves.
Yes.
So when you get to this table, who's advocating on behalf of the founders to get them a good deal?
In the final decision,
Yeah. To say they want to give away as little equity as possible.
you mean what's the final negotiation on the money?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question. Maybe something needs to get sorted out. Upfront.
Yeah.
That's a good question. But it would be good, like, from my perspective, it's a fireside chat rather than, hey, everybody works, right? And if we could say it was X amount for X percentage right now, and it's a standard deal for everybody that comes to the end of it, I think that could be interesting. And then nobody needs to worry about that stuff. But there's not a lot of leeway there. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's take that one away. It's a really good question. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Round of applause.
That was a nice noise. That kind of got us ready for the next bit. Oh, okay. Hi everyone. That was really interesting. Thank you, Liam. We're going to start with demos now, so I'm going to start with Oshin. He's going to come up.
My name is Oshin. I run Oshcom, Comms Consultancy. And my first question is, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? Now, you might think that I'm going to launch into a philosophy lecture, but this is actually a very good metaphor for most startups who will go through the course of their existence and they'll do great things. They'll make amazing products, they'll make amazing services, but they don't make sound. And then ultimately they fail. Very nicely done. What is common knowledge is that around 50% of startups fail in their first 5 years. But what is less common knowledge is that 22% of startups fail because they're unable to communicate what they do to the rest of the world. And that could involve end users, customers, the people who are going to exchange cash for your product or service. It could be investors and stakeholders, the people who are going to offer you capital and guidance throughout the existence of your startup. It could be the media, policymakers, and then particularly if you're a mission-driven startup and you've got important things to say, if no one hears it, then what's the point? And finally, internal comms, something that people forget a lot, but I'd be willing to wager that those in startups here, if I was to question you on what your startup did or what it stood for, you might have completely different ideas. And it's really important that you crystallize exactly what your business is. So how do you land the message you want with the people you need? The answer is Oshcom, the content consultancy for mission-driven businesses. And those businesses could be working in health tech, they could be working in climate tech, they could be financial security, very technical and very jargon-laden industries, very hard to communicate to the layperson. And often those founders will themselves be academic or from technical backgrounds, particularly if you work in deep tech or climate tech. So how does Oshcom bridge that gap? Well, we start with a strategy. Using the technology that we have and the expertise that we have, we work out who your target audience is, exactly the type of content that they want to engage with, the channels that they exist on, and then we also look at your competitors, so the people who are around you doing similar things, your aspirational competitors, so the people you want to be like. We look at the gaps of where consumers want a specific form of content and what your competitors aren't doing, and that's where we build social media channels. We build, for several months, we'll build content across all of your social channels. We'll build comms plans so that you're ready to go to press for those important moments. And we'll crystallize your brand with a brand messaging house that defines every aspect of what you do and the type of business that you are. Some examples, so it could be a website redesign, it could be blog posts, it could be live events, bringing people, bringing your community close to yourself. It could be physical content like brochures, magazines, and it could be interactive content. So it could be data that drives discussion, that reveals ideas, that gets people talking. So I'm going to walk us through a startup from a very specific niche, which would be normally quite hard to explain, but they're basically a software that allows you to fundraise, raise donations if you're a progressive campaigner, get people to marches, get people to sign petitions. So a very specific technical niche, but one with very common problems that most startups face. So they needed to build a loyal audience across all of their marketing channels. LinkedIn, their newsletter, and their website. They needed to drive supporters to take some kind of action. Ultimately, content should drive people to engaging with your brand and ideally generating you revenue. And finally, another one that I'd be willing to wager a lot of startups here do, which is getting content out because they feel like they have to. The idea that we need to be on social, but not thinking strategically about how that content can generate action. So those were the challenges. What we realized is that on LinkedIn, and particularly with all social, is that people resonate best with other people, not with faceless brands. So we thought we'd raise the profiles of individuals within the business using thought leadership, case studies, and updates to spark discussion and send people to the brand. The other thing that we did was segment the newsletter. So if you worked in a trade union, you'd receive one type of newsletter that was specific to you. If you worked in an NGO, you'd receive a newsletter that was specific to what you did in your business. What we found is that resonated a lot more with people who could see themselves in the content, or were more likely to perform another action, such as donating or going to an event. And finally, with the events that we ran, so getting people to attend, and as one person once said to me, making the URL feel IRL, which is very cheesy, but it does stick. The results were that we increased the newsletter by 400% in the first 10 months. We're still working with this business. At my time. Oh God, that's so much more to give. 400% growth, and 37% increase in engagement and LinkedIn. And finally, events drove demos and sales. So at all stages of the funnel, we were driving awareness, engagement, and conversion. If you want to just fix the next slide. These are the businesses we work with, some quite big VCs. We're currently working with Founders Factory. We work with Series B startups like Beams, who just raised 9 million. work with pre-seed startups like Seed Movement and FTSE 100s as well. So we know this ecosystem inside out. We know what it's like to be a founder, but we know how to grow your business. And my last question is, does your startup make a sound? If you want to add me on LinkedIn, I would love to chat to everyone. So let's make it happen. DM me, and we'll schedule something in. Yeah, and I think the last bit is, my main ask is I'm looking to scale. I want to move into the business development side of things. I'm looking for talented content producers, people working in writing blogs, email marketing, videography. So if that sounds like you or someone you know, please do put them in touch. Thank you.
Yeah, do you want to?
Yeah, I can take it.
Yeah.
We're going to get our first question from Harold, but I'm going to ask the panel to introduce themselves first.
It's my fault.
No, you just got to hold it.
I've got to hold it.
Yeah,
Got
got real
it
close. Yeah.
Okay, Mark, hold it close.
Mark, CTO at Stevenstown Law Firm.
Hi, my name is Donald Ahmed. I work at a climate tech startup in the strategy team helping the company to scale. And alongside that, I scout startups for an angel syndicate. So I find promising startups to invest in.
My name is Ruben. I work here at the Base. I'm one of the entrepreneurship lecturers, and I also look after the masters in entrepreneurship.
Who wants the first question?
Thank you for the presentation. So I had a question around the business model. So how exactly are you monetizing this? In any equity from startups? And also, one question, is there like a unique tech stack that you're using to go from the challenge to the solution phase?
Yeah, so I guess we are a services-based business, so there is quite a lot of people power. And that's part of the thing I'm trying to solve with hiring more people. But we use a monthly subscription service for businesses, and that varies depending on the size of your business and the size of the job at hand. We do offer some free consulting for early stage startups if you want to sort of bounce an idea. And then it kind of goes up into a kind of monthly retainer, depending on what you need. And that can be divided by, like, I just need site content, I need an entire rebrand, or I need some social help. In terms of tech, we use Sprout Social for listening. Use a lot of listening software in order to understand consumers and what they do. And use a variety like Notion and fairly tech-oriented, you might say, HubSpot, quite a lot of the time, for kind of tracking leads. And you can set up amazing automations of email through that you might know through to sort of filling forms and tracking people. CRM-wise, use things like Salesforce to track sort of personas through the pipeline.
Cool. We've got lots of questions on Menti. Have we got any questions from the audience as well? Or should we go to Menti? Let's go to Menti. Why are you better than ChatGPT Pro, and what distinguishes your company from larger lead gen companies overseas?
So slightly waiting for this question. I would say that your competitive advantage is your human touch. And I think in a world where content is saturated with ChatGPT written posts and blog posts and social posts, people are looking for more real, evocative content that's going to connect with them emotionally. We live with oversaturated news feeds and quite a lot of noise and paid for content. And so people are looking for longer form. You know, if you think about kind of sort of podcasts and video content, I think also what I do is incredibly strategic. And you're always going to need a person pulling all the strings to make sure that you track one person from an event they attend through to becoming a loyal and retained customer. So it's a kind of, you need the person operating. I use AI quite a lot, so actually one of the things I should mention is that I use ChatGPT Pro for putting, you know, the structure on a blog post, but then writing it personally. It does save time, but ultimately you need the human touch to kind of be putting these things through, to be making that final judgment if something's going to be brand damaging or not when it comes to publishing, and just being that kind of voice of reason and the soundboard to kind of get you up and running and see you through your growth period. So yeah, I'm the physical hand to hold you through your growth. unlike ChatGPT, which doesn't have hands. Yes.
Let's go to a question in the audience.
Thanks for the presentation, really well delivered. So my question is, how do you compete against comms advisors that are specialized in specific industry verticals, so ones that are dedicated to the climate tech or to healthcare or to manufacturing, whatever corner that might be?
That's a very good question, and I guess my niche is that I'm a content consultancy for mission-driven businesses. So that specializes in getting businesses heard regardless of what their industry is. There are much more niched down kind of comms professionals and agencies. I think with a lot of those, they don't have the leverage to kind of reach the press in more general places. So the connections to talk to kind of bigger media, bigger industry press, and also just the kind of knowledge of founders. I'm very much in the niche of the startup and the founder and the VC and the ecosystem that they exist in. Whereas you could work in kind of climate tech and you might not necessarily have that kind of understanding of how a business itself can grow communications wise. So there's a more holistic benefit to having that kind of knowledge. I do actually come from the climate tech background myself, so it's something I'm fairly well versed in, but you do, and I guess over the years we've become exposed to so many different forms of different industries, especially if you work in a VC, you're sort of constantly sort of tracking all of those things and seeing how they interconnect. So there's a kind of wider world out there, which hopefully answers your questions to some extent.
And that's all we've got time for. So thank you for all the questions as well on Menti. Sorry we didn't get through all of them. People are going to be hanging around afterwards, so do make sure you go and ask your questions. Also on Menti, really helpful feedback for our startups, founders. You can vote on how you get it, if you use it, if you invest in it, and if you recommend it to a friend. Right, can we get a big round of applause for our next demo, please?
Thank you very much, Rick. That was absolutely brilliant. So my name's Tom. I'm one of the co-founders of Noggin, and I've spent the last 12 months as a founding operator at one of the UK's highest backed startups, and I've just quit my job. I'm Adam. I just quit my job as well. I'm from America. So yeah, I mean, why have two Nantes in their young 20s decided to just go and quit their jobs? Well, on average, every day globally, 137,000 startups are launched. However, on the other side, we have investors, which are absolutely skyrocketing. Billions are still lost in that gap in the middle. Why is this? We are still reliant on pre-existing thin networks, cold outreach campaigns which are exhaustive and ineffective, and static profiles and templates that don't capture the true detailed preferences of founders and startups. 25% of startups never raise $3,000 to get their business off the ground. So we built the agent that speaks fluent founder and investor and really gets to know both sides.
Hi guys, yeah, so the advantages of Noggin. When you have one conversation with Noggin, you're reaching thousands of people with that one chat, and you get warm introductions to them. You don't have to rely on your personal networks anymore. You just get connected to loads of people. I'm going to do a quick demo, founder investor demo for you. Just log in. So, everyone just look away.
44 ads.
Yeah. There we go. You're just throw a quick name in, doesn't matter. So we're going to have Liam speak to Noggin now about his company, and then we're going to have Tom speak from an investor's point of view and see if they gel. Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, I'm Noggin. I connect you with investors who actually get it. Not a formal pitch, just the important stuff. After this chat, I'll find your people and we'll intro you. So, Let's get going. Tell me a bit about your background and that big idea that's been keeping you up at night.
So I've got an idea to connect education to industry. I see the CV as obsolete and it's very difficult for students to get jobs at the moment. So we're building an all-in-one platform to bridge this gap.
That's fascinating. Help me understand what inspired you to focus on bridging the gap between education and industry, and what makes your platform different from existing job boards or career services.
So it resonates. I applied for hundreds of jobs, didn't get any, and so I decided to build this platform. How we're different, so we don't focus on CVs, we focus on real skills, portfolios, dissertations, rather than just a classic CV.
All right, we're going to cut it off. And now we've got it up on my phone. Tom's going to speak from the investor's point of view.
Hey, I'm Morgan, and I help investors like you discover startups that truly match your investment vision. Let's dig into what you're really looking for. So let's kick off by telling me a bit about your background and what your dream investment opportunity looks like on a surface level.
I don't actually have much time. I'm doing a demo right now, but I've got about 50 to £100,000 that I'm willing to invest in a founder who's really trying to bridge the gap between sort of education and industry, someone that's potentially setting up a fund or sort of some sort of initiative that sort of opens the door to for entrepreneurship to young sort of students that aren't quite sure what to do. Thank you very much. Cheers, Morgan.
All right, awesome. So now if I look at my phone, I've got a few emails coming in. The first is Noggin dropping an email to Liam about his company, a summary of his goals, attracting investors passionate about his company. Let me just check. Yeah, and we've got another email for Tom from the investor's point of view, talking about what he wants. I'll hand you to Tom.
Yeah, so I think the ask from us is we really want to make sort of traditional forms and sort of a lack of access to entrepreneurship obsolete. So we would love for you guys to speak to Noggin tonight about potentially your business idea or your investment thesis. We've already got close to 100 users partnered with some of the leading sort of dev communities in London, and we're going to start matching people within the next 2 weeks. So we'd love you to go home tonight and speak to Noggin. It's pretty chill. You don't need a perfectly refined pitch, but just have some details to hand. And yeah, that'd be really cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and just on that note of matching, we've also just got an email coming matching the two of them, introducing them, giving a full description of who they both are, and we'll book in meetings for them as well. Thanks.
Let's get our first question from the panel. Let's go to Mark.
Who are you competing against?
Yeah, so I think there's probably 3 areas. You have traditional marketplaces like AngelList, Angel Network, Investment Limited, sort of them, but the limit with there is they're still reliant on manual outreach, and those profiles are still static and sort of the classic Typeform things. The second thing you'd move into is sort of emerging platforms, traditionally using AI for search. So here you have things like ShipShape PC, which won entrepreneurship abroad in Wales. You have sort of Scribe, but again, you're still stuck in that problem where you can get given leads, but you still need to do the outreach yourself. People aren't using voice technology in this specific sector. There are 2 companies that have started doing it on a slightly broader level. The first one would be people obviously know about Jack and Jill and their success, and Bordy people might be sort of raising their eyebrows about the Boston company. I guess there's 4 key differences with Bordy. We pride ourselves on a very small verified data pool. Bordy has kind of gone for that AI super connector, which takes a sort of wider array of connections to talent and not just focus on fundraising. And Noggin is, there's no humans in the loop. It's the decisive body. By the time you have an introduction with somebody else, Noggin has had 30 minutes worth of conversation to know there's an accurate match there, and they haven't required you to sort of get involved in outreach yourself. It's simply one conversation on Monday to a meeting on Thursday, and you've already basically been speaking for 30 minutes and you know there's a match.
So the question on Menti, how do you keep data safe?
Yeah, I'll hand over to the CTO.
I mean, yeah, it's not too tricky to be fair, but obviously it's very sensitive data, taking loads of investors' cash flow information and stuff. We don't listen to any of the audio recordings. We don't even let the recordings get saved. All we get is transcripts, which are all securely stored. And when we introduce people, we're not giving away, every single detail about the two of them if they want something to be private. We just give them what they're both happy to give away.
Got another one from Menti. How do you measure impact?
Yeah, so I think the sort of ongoing thing on the market right now is, as I said, many startups are launching, but they're not actually raising capital. And I think this is a personal problem for ourselves and a lot of sort of friends that are in the community. People are spending hours and sort of lots of time on this exhaustive cold outreach and not actually hitting goals and having successful meetings. So it's very easy to set people up on a call and then have feedback with Noggin. It kind of keeps in touch with you and says, how was your meeting, etc. So it's very easy for us to do.
First of all, what is your revenue model? And secondly, like, you have some revenue model, say for example, Scribe as your competitor. How easy is it for them to add an AI component what you have built on their current database?
Okay. Yeah, so I think there are four sort of immediate rev streams. The ones we've tapped into is obviously a SaaS subscription model, and then revenue generating partnerships. And in 12 months, we want to release the API, which kind of gives us that data offering. We're staying away from success fees, which is probably what was on your mind. And in terms of Scribe, it's kind of the same thing. It's building a really defensible network effect. So the same thing with Jack and Jill. LinkedIn software engineering team probably could build a very basic MVP, probably within 5 to 6 hours of what Jack and Jill built. But by being a first mover in your sector and sort of building a self-sustaining network effect, it kind of provides us a defensible moat, and we will have people, every time somebody speaks to the platform and has a 15-minute conversation, I know that example was very short, but we're building out amazing information, so that's kind of why we're defensible there.
Cool. We've got time for one more before we take from Menti. It's a good one. So much about investing is about relationship building, but the intro comes straight away. What does building Noggin relationships look like?
Yeah, I think this actually is exactly why we've built this platform. So at the moment, if you get lined up with an investor for a meeting, how do you know that you guys are compatible? Where you may look at LinkedIn, you may look at prior experience, you may sort of have a nod from somewhere else. And it's not, it is literally the answer to that question is, you don't have that right now, but voice technology is kind of the closest thing we've had to human capital. Noggin can bridge that gap, and it is an emotive conversation, and we can. So we have with one voice conversation, you derive a massive range of parameters to know that you guys are compatible, which is why Noggin is you've got a much better chance of building a relationship with someone through meeting through Noggin as opposed to reaching out on LinkedIn. I think it's voice technology. It's having its moment.
So once again,
help
give some feedback to the startup because we're gonna.
Sorry, yeah, www.nogginuk.com. It's live and you can use it now. It's free.
Cool. So just give you seconds. Right, is it full there, Rista? We're halfway through?
We are halfway
Through. How's the room feeling? We're halfway through. How's the energy? Woo! I need a bit more. Right, let's take that up to a 12 and we'll welcome our next founders on stage.
My name is Molly. Thank you all for coming here today. And I am the founder / everything else for Fashion Intelligence, which is fashion and artificial intelligence together. What is this? Essentially, it's a trend forecasting platform that helps small to mid-sized businesses understand what trends are coming, so then they can make smarter decisions when it comes to making their next line, so then they save money and save resources. Because as we know, the fashion industry is a big issue that we have globally, and so I wanted to help this industry, and I thought this might be a way that I could start targeting it. So I was asked to answer like 4 questions. I was also asked to answer why me. Rather than saying why me, I'm gonna tell you the journey that I've had with fashion intelligence in me. So I started off graduating around a year ago where I got this idea. And I kind of wanted to integrate data dashboards into the fashion industry. But doing sales and all of that, I kind of found out that this idea isn't going to work. And then one day I was walking on the streets and someone asked me what my dream was. And that someone was Simon Squibb, actually. And since that day, I kind of realized that this is a dream that I really want to do. And I kept having, that day still plays in my mind every day. And so once the idea actually failed, I went on to my other idea, which was connecting with people in the industry and seeing what else can I do. So that's when I came up with the trend forecasting idea, and I was creating a platform in this trend forecasting. And that's me right now here with you guys pitching it for the first time. So why now? Essentially the reason that I want to do this now is because we need to save the world. So I wanted to do it through this way with my skills that I have. I kind of want to help small local brands have more power by giving them this platform where they have data and AI at the touch of their hands. So that's what I'm doing. And because AI is so available at the touch of our hands nowadays, I think it's the best time to do any kind of startup. So if anyone doesn't want to do one, this is the time to do it. So what is it that I need from you guys? Essentially, I need people to spread FI. The platform isn't out yet, but the more people that interact with it, the more interactions I get, the better it is. So tell your aunts, your uncles, tell everyone. Feedback. This is why I'm doing this essentially today, to get an idea of trend forecasting. If you think the idea is going to help, so if you know anyone that's in the industry, if they want to test it out, that would be great. Network as well. Again, if you know anyone in the industry, or if you want to work in fashion and artificial intelligence, please contact me. And then funding. Currently I'm not raising, but it doesn't hurt to get funding as well. But yeah, that's essentially fashion intelligence. If you do want to support me, you could follow me on LinkedIn or Instagram, where I do some data insights within the fashion industry. But yeah, in terms of a quick demo, I don't know if I'm able to share that quickly of what it is. So I could show you the platform quickly. And essentially it's this platform that shows you the images on the runway, because that's where trends cascade from, and they go down onto influencers, and then from influencers it goes down to social media. And so essentially this platform kind of shows you what each image composes of. So it'll show you what materials, what color, and what item. And then it gives you an overview view at the top, so then you could get an idea that Chanel had a lot of blacks with a lot of this material, so then people could make their lines according to that. And so yeah, it's essentially there to give people who don't have access to data and AI have access to it to make better decisions. So then they can reduce waste and money. But yeah, that's it.
Last question from the panel.
Thank you. Really enjoyed that pitch. So just, I know you said you are still in the process of developing this, but have you already been reaching out to these small sustainable fashion brands, and what's their feedback been so far?
So essentially I haven't completely deployed the platform, but the idea is to kind of make platforms that already exist out there. So there are competitors, but the issue is that they're very expensive, so they're not as available to smaller to mid-sized brands, because they're around 10,000 a year. So essentially it's mimicking that, and then once I've got that product on a baseline, it's giving small to mid-sized sustainable brands access to it. And once I have that, that's where I'm going to start developing further from.
We've got a question on Menti. So do small independent brands need to follow trends, or do they have their own unique style and not compete with the big brands?
I actually really like that question, because essentially, no, I don't want them to follow trends. It's the idea that they could kind of align with what's colors or materials that are going to be trending in the season that's coming, but still maintain their uniqueness, the style that they have, but with the color, essentially. So just making smarter decisions. Don't change what your brand is, more change how you could go along with some of the trends.
Any questions from the audience?
Hi. Have you thought about
if this could actually speed up fast fashion because kind of companies are getting on trends so much faster, they need to adapt quicker too.
Yes, I have, and I think the whole idea is that so I could target more like smaller to mid-sized brands, mainly because as it is, Shein and Zara already have a lot of power within the data and AI world, so why not give this power to like smaller brands as well? Yeah, it might do it, but then again, these small to mid-sized brands don't have the same power as these bigger brands, so they do have to find like other wholesalers and go through a longer process than them. And it's essentially saturating the market more so that these big competitors don't have as much power.
Well, we've got one on Menti. How will you keep people's faces identity safe from AI processing?
These images are already online, so essentially these runway images are already public. AI doesn't really do anything with them because they're already on the internet.
I've got another one. I've got any others from the room, or no? Let's go to this one. Do you have figures that show brands produce carbon-intensive clothes because of their deadline rather than prices?
I actually do not. So I will look into that, but thank you.
Any others from the room?
I've got a question.
There you go.
A bit mental, but I don't understand how your, thank you for the presentation, Lou. Very clear and very engaging. Well done. But I don't understand how you are supporting waste reduction through your app.
Well, so I can say this from experience of a lot of my friends who started fashion brands and they just send stuff into production into China. And a lot of the cases, they just send this in because they don't really have any data or evidence of what's going to be trending or successful. And then it doesn't sell, so they waste a lot of resources as well as money. So essentially, it's more of like data that they could have to back what their idea, their fashion brand idea, to make sure that it's successful and it's trending at that time.
Do you think that if you want to sell your idea as ecologically supportive, you need to build something in that is part of that we call circularity?
Sorry, could you?
Well, it's just that you said that you want to save the world, but your website doesn't actually do anything actively to do that.
Well, it's there to like do it slowly. It's not. It's like a small effort that I can make towards to giving this smaller businesses access to something that bigger businesses that have already.
Cool.
Thank you.
As always, jump on Menti. Feedback is very important for our founders. Right. I've just found out that we've got 5 demos tonight. This is not our last. The goodness keeps on coming. But do welcome to the stage our next demo.
Great. How many of you are intrigued by AI valuations in today's world? Like NVIDIA, Microsoft touching trillions and trillions of dollars every other day. The rest banks. Brilliant. How many of you are bullish on AI? AI is going to make some positive impact on the society. There you go. And now, imagine you have 100K in your account and you want to deploy this money in some market. What do? Would you invest in AI? Would you invest in Microsoft? Would you invest in NVIDIA?
Gold.
Natural, right? Someone said gold. That's a natural process for someone living in UK, someone living in US. But it's a privilege if you're in countries like India, China of the world, where you can't really move your capital out of the country. You can, but with a lot of restrictions. You have to tax, regulatory paperwork. Unless you have scale, you can't really do that. And how are we going to solve it? And that's why we're bridging emerging market capital to global markets. What are we building? a global trading platform for emerging markets. How many of you know eToro or Robinhood or Interactive Brokers with their funds? Oh, there you go. Imagine eToro or Interactive Brokers that I'm building for emerging markets, India, China, of the world, not necessarily just for India and China. Just to put it in perspective, India has over 150 million investors and one of the world's largest domestic saving pool. Yet they don't have access to global markets. So how are they going to restrict people in India? One, there's massive friction. 20% of the tax will be paid upfront if you want to move your capital out of the country. And restrictions, you have massive restriction in terms of products that you can invest and what kind of products that you can't invest. And limitations. Even if you're a millionaire, you have $1 million in your account, you want to transfer money, you can't more than 250K. And that is emerging market for you. And how are we going to solve that? We are going to create an emerging market without moving your capital out of the country, without taking any of the regulatory requirements. We give you exposure to global markets. So there is no upfront tax, there's no regulatory paperwork, there is no limitation. You want to invest 100K, you can. You want to invest 200K, you can. You want to invest 2 million, you can. And there's no limitations of the product as well. And who am I? Well, I'm a founder CEO of this firm. But before this, I founded Brahmi Realty. When I was just 24 years old, I started a venture called Brahmi Realty, where I've restructured roughly $35 million worth of assets in Bangalore, in India. And currently, I work for an investment bank called Elite Capital, where I have a very deep expertise in debt structuring, debt markets, repo markets, and prime brokers. And before that, I started my career with KPMG, and I've been honored by Lord Mayor of London as well as a Mansion House Scholar. So our biggest edge, first mover advantage, and our second edge, we have very strong network with prime brokers, investment bankers of the world. You can name investment banker or investment banks, we have access to those places. And that's our real edge. And now, as I said, there's massive demand, but there's no supply. Even if there is a supply, that has been fraught by a lot of restriction. If you can access, why shouldn't someone else, or for that matter, the majority of the world population lives in these countries, and unfortunately they don't have access to the same markets that you have. Shouldn't we create a bridge? Shouldn't we create a match for supply and demand? Just India alone has more than $30 billion of demand. But unfortunately, you can't really find a right suitable product. And many of you told, you know eToro. You know what? The highest amount of assets on the platform on eToro is just $15 billion. Or today it is $16.5 billion. And just one market that we are focusing is $30 billion market. And what are we asking? Well, we are not looking for funding as of now, but if anyone is ready to write a check, there's no harm in it. We're happy to take it. But yeah, like we are looking for partners. If there is anyone in the room who would be interested to partner with a fintech platform like us, we are very happy to take it. And most importantly, I want to know your feedback. What did you hear? And what are the things that I can improve in my pitch? That's the most important thing. Thank you.
What's the first question in the panel?
There's one.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Very engaging. So yeah, my question is around the competitive landscape there. So, well, first of all, what is your target segment there? Is it retail investors? Is it more large cap? And then who are you actually competing against, and how do you plan to defend against these larger investment firms?
First and foremost, there's no competitors as of now in true sense, but potentially there are a lot of people who are actually providing these services in some form or the other with all the restrictions. So are going to be my competitors, and it's not very hard for them to replicate my model. Probably like 1.5 or 2 years down the line, they will be competing us. But as always, you have to remember. Okay, rather let me put it this way: how many of you use Bloomberg in this room? Bloomberg terminal. Okay. How many of you think it is extremely chaotic? All of you, right? There you go. And yet, all the banks still use it, even though they have very good competitors for each and every segment. And that first mover advantage in finance always helps, provided you're giving all the products in a similar fashion. No matter what is the situation, they'll always be on the platform. So that is our biggest motive, the first mover advantage in finance. So answering your point, like in terms of target segment, our biggest target segment at this point in time is HNIs, family offices. They are the easiest market target audience for us, but eventually we want to be part of the whole ecosystem of even retail investors, because that is the most biggest untapped wealth in the whole world, the retail segment. But initially we want to move from family offices, HNIs, UHNIs, as well as high frequency traders. That is our go-to clients as of now.
We've got one on the board. How do you prevent your product from assuming the risk of investments?
Well, pretty much like any other broking platform, you did mention like Interactive Brokers, Itero, they're just platform providers. We are platform providers. We are not fund. We don't intend to take your money and invest somewhere else. Rather, we give you access where you get to choose where to invest, how to invest, and how much money you want to make out of it. So we are not the risk providers. We are a risk neutral platform.
Do you have a question? Yeah?
Oh, no.
I'll go.
I do.
Thank you. 2 questions.
Yeah.
Why, if it's such a big market, why is there no competition at the moment? What's making it so difficult to actually do this for big companies?
Mm-hmm.
Also, what are the stages you have to go through to actually build something like this?
Well, that's all. I think I can louder effect. Yeah. As you can imagine, there are massive loads of people with massive balance sheets to build something what I'm building. But one thing that they don't understand is highly regulated market. As you saw, this is my second startup. Even in the previous startup, it was highly regulated market. And going into a regulated market is something that I've learned the ropes. Knowing the right people in the right places is what makes you get the access in the right places. So answering your point, what are the things that I'm supposed to do? I need to have licenses in 3 different jurisdictions, at least bare minimum. And getting those licenses is a process, say at least like 9 to 12 months. And in the whole process, we want to build our product as well. Currently, we don't have a product as such, but in, say like 4 months to 5 months down the line, we'll have like MVP. And once we have the MVP, it's all about connecting the dots into the right places, because we're not going to reinvent the whole way. We are going to connect APIs through like Interactives or Interactive Brokers or SACs of the world, and we're just going to build a product. So honestly, we don't really take a lot of time apart from regulatory approvals. Yeah.
But there's loads of questions, but we have run out of time. So do grab Ranjit afterwards. Big round of applause. And do your feedback on Mentee. And something a little bit different for our last. We have a reverse pitch. Big round of applause, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jacopo, and I am a VC at Forward Fund. So Forward Fund is a marketing for equity VC that invests in consumer companies. We deploy co-growth capital in the attention economy. And what we mean by that is that we want you to grow with us, and we also want to grow with you. So every company we invest in, we believe that it wants to grow, and that we truly believe that we want to put our name behind it as well. And the attention economy part is that we want to invest in companies that create attention, because they're all consumer companies and they really want to have attention and eyes on them. And that's why we deploy it as a marketing for equity investment. And marketing for equity, what we define it as, is that we would take a share in your company and in exchange, you get to feature your product on some of our portfolio creators, so content creators, influencers, who are some of the biggest in the UK. So we have a unique advantage in this space because we actually own our own content studio and also our own studio team. We've worked with some of the biggest UK influencers, creators, and YouTube channels. They all have experience in video production, content ideation, and they will actually support you step by step throughout the whole process. So through our studio arm, we actually have a couple of podcasts that we actually record on a weekly basis in our studio, and we put our portfolio companies in front of these podcasters and on the YouTube channels, etc., that will essentially, your product gets a front row seat in a very organic way, and we see that it's boost traction tremendously for our portfolio company. We also have a partnership with the Cowshed Collective, who has some of the biggest YouTubers as well under their portfolio. So, for example, the Sidemen are part of their portfolio, who they help the Sidemen grow and manage their video content. And yeah, so that means that you will have essentially potentially over 1 billion eyes on your product through partnering and receiving our funding. We invest pretty much only in consumer, and we invest across pretty much all consumer sectors. So that whether that's CPG and FMCG, which is consumer packaged goods, and fast-moving consumer goods, which is a sector that I'm currently leading. And I also dabble in the other sectors, which are anything from fashion, which is more of like our culture-led offerings, and also in tech, consumer tech. And we also really believe in creator-built businesses as well, so we're trying to start some relationships with creators who are building their own products as well, and we will also invest in them. So in order to be attractive to us, we're looking for founders who are established, but the main priority is that they have credibility and actually are generating revenue. Now, the reason for this is not because we want founders who are generating revenue, because for us, it's more for you, because if you can't convert on the attention that we give you, there's not much benefit in our investment for you. And because of that, we actually are creating an in-house platform that will help founders who aren't quite ready for us, but are ready to partner with creators in order to get marketing for equity agreements with creators directly as well. So if you've got a consumer brand who's interested in that, please let me know. And we also have relationships with one of the biggest angel networks in the UK called AngelSden. And we would essentially, if you need marketing for equity and cash as well, we will put you in front of AngelSden network as well. So yeah, if you're an investor, we're still raising our fund one. And if you are a startup in consumer, please come speak to me. Thank you so much.
Hello? Any questions?
In terms of the equity you're taking, what sort of payback roll-up sort of journey are you looking at?
In terms
What
of
do you want back from the investment?
So from the investment, we want to invest in founders who really believe in getting behind the whole distribution side of it. So if we give you massive attention, we want to see you execute and actually want to get back some revenue from the attention that we provide you. And in terms of equity, we would want to exit from that position. And
what sort of timescale on the exit?
On the exit, we're actually aiming for a very optimistic one from 2 to 3 years, because we're planning on exit during the secondaries. Because the agreements normally last between six to 18 months with the startup. So we would deploy the marketing over 6 to 18 months. And then following that, we're happy to exit. And when the founder raises further capital.
How can you back up your investment in terms of growing a business? Because obviously, if you want to exit, you can show some figures around what you're generating. How does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, I only joined the company like a couple of months ago. So so we're essentially, from what I gather, is that the way that we can back it up is that we've already got one portfolio company which kind of uses as a case study. and they saw a massive boost in their sales. Actually launched their product, one of their new products, on one of our podcasts that we co-own with the creators, and that saw a massive boost in their revenue. So we're already showing that our fund model actually really works. It's actually delivering returns for these startups.
What happens if they don't meet the targets?
From my knowledge, I mean, we would still we also have to meet some targets as well in order for the equity to actually come through. So it's a dual agreement. So if we don't meet our targets, as in terms of views, in terms of click-throughs, etc., we wouldn't take that much equity within the company. It would be invested. It's a milestone-based.
One on the board. What are the key things you look at in a product or a company before investing?
Yeah. So for me, I'm on fast-moving consumer goods mainly. So I'm looking for companies that are really standing out and they're very bold. As the fund as a whole, we want companies that are happy to build in public, are happy to get in front of a camera and really showcase what they're doing, as well as also making sure they can have really good distribution channels and can execute on the distribution. Because that's the main thing that we're seeing is a big barrier for these companies in consumer goods, is that delivery costs, etc., are quite high for them. We want to see any innovative workarounds around that.
Can we get some examples of sort of companies that have like launched products through this?
Yeah, of course. So we only actually deployed our first marketing breakfast ticket about 6 months ago. So we've only got one portfolio company today. We're currently closing a couple of them right now. They're called Virtue Energy. So they're a clean energy company, and they're the ones who launched. They also launched some electrolyte sachets on our podcast channel. And the podcast channel that we own that we have a partnership with is called From My Left. They're a football podcast. They also do a culture show as well called The Boardroom.
Any other questions? Right at the back.
What did you do before?
What did I do before? I ran an edtech for 5 years, all the way through uni. I started it when I was 18 during detention because I didn't agree with the way that the teacher was teaching the class. I refused to do any more homework. And I was able to create some worksheets that were really helpful to my classmates. And in the end, I actually ended up hiring that teacher to start producing worksheets for me. It's a nice little thing. But I realized that wasn't what really motivated me and got me out of bed. So I decided to close that down in March, along with following some conversation with my co-founder. We both decided to take on other jobs, and I moved into the other side of the team, which is VC.
One last question.
I'll just shout. Does the company sell its marketing services to people who don't want to give away equity? Is it a marketing agency that has launched this as a additional business?
Not really, no. We do have our Forward Studios as a separate company. So we own Forward Fund, which is the VC arm, and Forward Studios. So Forward Studios, for the podcast that we are filming in-house, etc., like From My Left, we can do that sort of agreement where, let's say we have I think William Hill was a recent one. So they sponsored like 6 episodes of that podcast in return for cash. But that cash goes to the creators, not to us, but we can broker that.
So I'm assuming it's not a brand new company. It's been built upon an existing business.
So
because you have this creative network that you're.
Yeah. So it was built by. It started off. So the general partner, he had made several angel investments in the past few years. He started off Forward Studios and Forward Fund pretty much at the same time. So Forward Studios was created in collaboration with a YouTuber who was, I think, from Filthy Fellas, which is a podcast, and they co-own that studio together. So that's a studio arm, that's why we have so many creator networks, because we actually have a creator leading that studio arm as well. And then on the other side, we kind of just collaborate between the two entities, but they're owned by the same.
Thank you.
Again, feedback, and we've got our all-important People's Choice. So do get your votes in for this one. What was your favourite demo today? That's all changed. This will be available after as well, if you want to keep on voting. We'll announce the people's choice tomorrow, I think.
We should be able to announce tonight, yeah, before the article go out.
Cool. Again, at the end of this, there's a few questions about how you felt about demo night, any improvements we can make. Feedback means that we can keep these events focused, but also improving all the time. So please do give your feedback. Also, one thing you could change. Again, it's important for us to keep things improving. And I think that's it.
So there'll be another demo night second Wednesday of November. It will be hosted slightly differently because the Canopy team are on the floor, so it'll be the City Ventures team running it, so at the front there. Will be a web summit, which is the crescendo of the Canopy year, doing the web summit demo night that we do there. So there's two really significant events for us every year, which is the London Technic event here, and I'm running Lisbon because we have a lot of heritage in Lisbon. So if you're in web summit, please come along to that one, and if you're in London, please come along to this one. Okay, thank you to everybody that's been here. Drink at the bar until it's all gone, and then about 8:30 you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Okay? Thank you very much. Enjoy it.
Oh my goodness.
We want to do both ways because there is something called bridging. When you bring one from one side to the other bridging, then that process. If someone else is giving the artist money, we can always stabilize them and we can start making good money on the bridging. So that's one of the reasons why we are very much interested in doing So in UK, we deploy lastly our training platform. In UK,
Switch off the light screen. Don't worry, I did out the fact that it's been focused on your butt for the last 5 minutes.